All right, it's 2020 when you get COVID D20s. Yeah. So there you go. That's a thing. Well, hello. Hi. Welcome back, everybody. We're day 28 of my 30-day world building challenge for a tabletop fantasy RPG world. A lot of you guys are also building worlds, and I want to say congratulations on going on this entire journey. We've got, today and then 2 more days, and then we're done. And we'll continue in some fashion, but let's talk about, I'm looking over at my notes. We're going to do what was left out today. We're going to answer a bunch of questions about that. And then a really good question is, what character would I want to play in my own world? Let's dive in.
And here we are, day 28. My name is Jordan with a silent PH in the middle, and let's close this window and open that one, and then we'll switch on over to Notion. So today's exercise, I wrote them out here, is left out. And what character would you play in your own world? I think that is an excellent question. We'll start with left out. So day 28, this is spend 15 minutes, it says, thinking about all of the extra stuff that we don't think about in a world. And this is good because it kind of will pertain to the player characters. And also, some of these questions really answer, it's the difference between here's an adventure, we're going on an adventure, and a fully fleshed out world. Specifically, I'm thinking right off the get-go, clothing and food. If we take clothing and food and you make them different in every area, and a lot of this would be also, if you were going to publish a setting, hinging on working with your artist to create this is the kind of feel I want the fashion to have in this city and things like that. But I like this a lot because it really immerses you in the world. And since this is hinged on art, I would also recommend finding art on the internet if you are doing a homebrew campaign setting, because it'll help. And you can say, yes, this is what they wear. This is what a wealthy person would wear. This is what a not wealthy, like someone who wants to appear poor would wear this, or is poor, whatever. So I went through and I got all of the good questions from this. And the exercise is, spend 15 minutes on 2 or 3 of the above things just to get your mind working. So I wrote them out all here. And I wanted to answer them. So views on, and we're again, the whole world is big, but we're going to focus just on the Dominica area because that's where I'm going to start my campaign. So views on killing or lying. And we'll say that there are groups of people that are very opposed to not necessarily killing and lying, but being a traitor. So if you promise something and you don't deliver, that could be a death sentence in a way, depending on the extreme of it. If you are not truthful in certain situations, that could also be grounds for banishment or dismissal or something like that. And that's the general populace too. That's not just like the Pact Keepers. But I think if I had to put Dominica as an alignment chart, I think she would be lawful evil, and it would be very much a black or white kind of law interpretation. So killing is not necessarily considered a bad thing, and probably sometimes it is a good thing, but lying, hurting, lying or doing something for your own gain that is not legal. That's a weird way of putting it. But we'll just say I think lying would be very bad. So killing in the right mind, in the right law, okay. Lying, a big no-no. Clothes and fashion. I know nothing about fashion. You can tell that I just put on my Star Wars shirt and I'm good to go. So I don't know, but I want, I think about Thay and how the red wizards always have these like red cloaks, and red is a very important color to the red wizards, and you do not wear red. You do not shave your head to mimic a red wizard because that is super punishable. So perhaps there are, I don't know, like very few hats in Endigar, or specifically Domitica's reign, because we want to see your horns. If you're hiding the fact that you are a tiefling, that you've been changed by a warlock pact, there's no reason to be secretive about that. And so maybe just to, be out in the open, you would not wear hats. So we'll say no hats for the wealthy and strong. And hats are like, what do you have to hide kind of a thing. And I like that. Food and kitchens, we talked about, there are, various farmlands around here. They're generating food. I think there even could be magical portals to the plane of water, allowing these fields to get flooded and watered and grow. So yeah, there's going to be cooks, there's going to be chefs and things in larger cities. And then out in various taverns, you're going to have the yesterday stew, or today's stew was yesterday's special, and you just take the leftovers of that, put it in a stew, and then serve it, kind of a thing. So I'm thinking very moderate. Like, you might sit down at a tavern and you have bread, fruit, and cheese, and a thing of mead. So I guess I'm going to say like medieval food. Your Renaissance food. Sanitation and hygiene. This is something that we don't really talk about in RPGs that much. And then when they brought it up in Harry Potter and wizards just like magicked away their poo, nobody liked that at all. So it's kind of interesting from a fantasy standpoint. What do you do? I'm thinking specifically of the Acquisitions Incorporated adventure for 5th edition, not the ones that the book that they published with Wizards of the Coast. And that underneath the city of Waterdeep, I think is where you start. Maybe it's Neverwinter. I played through it, but I can't remember. But underneath one of those, there is catacombs and there are sewers and things like that. So I think in the larger cities, you have, sewers and plumbing and stuff. But specifically, they had a portal that went to some like poop dimension. And so eventually all sewage would go through there. Part of me wants to think that there's a purification process magically that people do to re-purify the water and allow it to be used for other things. But in a world of infinite plane of water, and in a world of, demi-dimensions and pockets like that, I don't think Domitica would be very... there in those cities that Domitica oversees, I don't think there would necessarily be a push to cleanse, sewage and make it worthwhile again. Before they were taken over, maybe. So maybe that's something I can incorporate. Maybe the elves, well, I don't know. Maybe one of the kingdoms, they have learned to recycle in some way. So like recycling, but possible just going through sewer system under the larger cities. I'm also thinking of Seattle a long time ago, when they were the ground was so porous and stuff. They had a hard time getting pipes, from what I remember on my Seattle tour a long time ago. That they actually had like pipes up above you, and these sewage pipes would go, but they would leak. And it was just a big problem. So that's like another thing you could think of. Like, how do they handle it? Like, is this the city of raining poop is what it's known, because they have the pipes above the ground, because below the ground is like too solid of rock. I don't know. Medicines and hospitals. I think alchemists. exist and make medicines, potions, etc. But hospitals, this is a good question because in traditional RPGs, you would go to a church or something and the clergy or the clerics would heal you magically. I don't necessarily, Dominica doesn't want people worshiping the god, so I don't think there's active churches in her domain, her realm of Endigar. So do we have hospitals? Is there traditional healing? And maybe some of the, maybe a doctor is another name for wizard or a bard or something. Somebody who, maybe you have magical energies somehow and you are a bard and you're living in the city and you're using that to heal people. Maybe you're a celestial warlock and you're using that to heal people. So there needs to be places for the injured to go, I think. So yes, hospitals, maybe they won't be called hospitals, but not much magical healing inside of Dominica cities. Treatment of the elderly. I think with Dominica, you're useful till you're not. And so I honestly, this is a tough question because I would say the inner island, which we're also kind of building because it's so different from what Dominica is, that I think the inner city would value the elderly and what they can teach you and what they can just provide to a culture, and remembering the past kind of a thing. And I will say, the Minotaurs respect the elderly of all races. But humans and pact keepers, you are only as useful as you are strong. So there probably is a lot of if you're in a situation where, you're hanging out, you're older and your young rival wants your political spot or your military spot or something like that, there's probably a lot of assassinations that happen. And so I don't think you get to be very old and natural causes, but who knows? Maybe those people leave too because the city doesn't want them anymore, kind of a thing. Law enforcement, that's going to be pact keepers, and the rule of law as determined by Dominica. So it's not, it is not Dominica, it's her law. It's not the law we've all kind of gone over. And then I was thinking, this is a good one, pets. Lots of people have pets, and a lot of RPGs want, have pets. And so I think, wizards have familiars. I think pact keepers adopt imps. And I don't know, maybe sprites for fae type creatures and things like that. But yeah, I bet a lot of people have small things, cats, trained pigs, dogs, who knows? And Dominica and her group would kind of look at that as they're a tool to be used. But I think a lot of people have that, they crave that companionship. So yeah. So that's kind of the questions I wanted to answer about being left out, and I think that's good. I liked these questions a lot, and this is a good thing to think about. Like I said, especially the clothing and fashion, because I'm trying to picture you would need to know exactly, you would look at someone and be like, oh, they're a pact keeper, or you would look at someone and be like, oh, they're a celestial warlock, or they're plane touched, or something like that. Because humans can Well, like you could hide the fact that you're a warlock, or you could hide the fact that you're a tiefling. They would want to very specifically, you know, make you wear colors or something that identify you. So I don't know. This is also going with the restricted things. We don't want elves walking in and dwarves willy-nilly and things like that. So, or I should say, like Domitica doesn't, and that's creates tension in the campaign setting. What character would you play in your own world? I'm curious what you guys think I would play in my own world. Maybe pause it here and let me know in the comments below. I would like to know. But of all, let's look at our races first. So we're gonna start with our race, playable races. And here are we have a Minotaur, we have the Jorphdan, which is like a redeemed Verthandi goblin, but is a goblin. Lizard folk orc, hobgoblin, bugbear, goblin, furbolg, Azamar, Goliath, Genasi, tiefling, half orc, half elf, gnome, halfling, elf, dwarf, or human. Of all of those, I think the one that I would be most excited for is the Jorphdan. So we're gonna play a Jorphdan. Well, I would love to play a Jorphdan, but what class? You know, for a long time, I thought my favorite class was wizard, and then I was able to play a wizard for a long period of time. And now that I've had that experience, I like wizards, but I'm not as in love with them as I thought I was. And I very much, my go-to class when I sit down to play nowadays, I feel, is Bard. And so I would love to play a Jorphdan Bard, specifically because the Jorphdan, the goblins would be able to uncover more of the mysteries of the Verthandi, and I think that would be really interesting. Bard is tied with lore, so maybe you're a historian for goblin culture. That would be a fun angle of something that I would like to play. And then exploring ruins and stuff. And then I like how bards have magic in this world. It could be divine, it could be this, but it's that idea that I have an intrinsic kind of a magical attunement to the world around me, and I'm able to manipulate it in certain ways using either instruments or my voice, or just I have these. I understand the vibrations of the universe in some way, and I like that. So I think I would like to play a Jorphdan Bard. All right, everybody, we have 2 days left, 29th and 30th. The 31st, which is New Year's Eve, I can't promise, but I think I will do a YouTube live stream on this channel, and I'll just call it a Q&A, and you guys can ask me anything you want. We can do an AMA, ask me anything. And it could be about Endigar, it could be about Forgotten Realms lore, it could be about YouTube, it could be about a bunch of stuff. And I think that'll be fun because we're not going anywhere for New Year's because it's spooky New Year's. So yeah, grab your champagne and we will toast to 2021 as the as it rolls over the United States and midnight hits 3 or 4 times. So it'll be really good. Thank you guys, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for more world building, and take care.